Good evening. Welcome to Byju's IAS and to the webinar on art and culture. Am I audible and visible, first of all? Yeah, good evening, Meshak, Brajneet, Stephen, Anushka. So let some more people join in and then I'll begin. Bhimare, Sasi, Manraj, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. D. Mailadri, Sai Deepak, Rupesh, Kritika. Yeah, yeah, good evening. Um, Let us start this webinar on art and culture. Actually, this webinar was scheduled for the 18th of last month. It was supposed to be held on the 18th of last month, and then it was postponed to 29th, and then finally the 2nd of this month. The reason for this is the reason is because uh, some personal issues at home. At the same time, I could not find enough topics for me to handle the webinar on art and culture. So today I have shortlisted a few topics on your screen. Gulal Gota. So all these were in the news. So Gulal Gota, then Utkala Dibasa, that is the formation of the state of Orissa, so which is called Utkala Dibasa. Then Venice Biennial, which began on the 20th of last month. It is a 7-month art exhibition held at Venice, and we have the entry of India also. So India is also officially participating in this Venice Biennial. Then we have 100 years of Vaikom Satyagraha. So Vaikom Satyagraha happened in 1924 on 30th of March. And on the 30th of March 2024, we have 100 years of the anniversary of Vaikom Satyagraha. So something about Vaikom Satyagraha we will discuss. Then Chausat Khamba was in the news. Chausat Khamba, or 64 pillars, monolithic pillars in the complex of the Nizamuddin Aulia Dargah, Delhi. So that was in the news. So I have shortlisted that. And then Pandavula Gutta in Telangana state, which has been declared as um, a place of uh, geological importance, geo and also artistic importance. And of course, Hyderabad Liberation Day. The government of India has declared um, that September 17th of every year would be celebrated as Hyderabad Liberation Day. So we will discuss this small topics. So first of all, Gulal Gota. So what is this Gulal Gota? This is basically a small lightweight ball made of lac. So this is a small lightweight ball made of lac. Colors are filled inside this lac. It's basically gulal. Gulal is color which is used in holy during holy celebrations. Holi is a very popular festival throughout India, particularly in the north. Festival of colors, and colors are sprayed, both dry and wet colors are sprayed by people, on each other, and this festival is celebrated, as you all know. So here in Jaipur, there's a very unique way of celebrating Holi festival, and this is through what is known as Gulal Gota. Now, what is the process of making this so-called Gulal Gota? Basically, it's a small lightweight ball made of lac. So lac is a resinous substance. It's a resinous substance which is obtained from a particular insect that is supposed to be the female scale insect. Female scale insect, as you can see on your screen, this is the picture of the female scale insect. So I believe 3 lakh female scale insects are killed to obtain 1 kg of lac resin. To obtain 1 kg of lac resin, 3 lakh insects are killed. And then, of course, the lac is boiled in water, I believe. The lac is boiled in water to make it flexible. And then colors are added. Basically, colors like red, then yellow and green. So red, yellow, green colors are added to this particular lac, right? And then other colors are obtained from that. So once the processing is done, artisans heat up the lac. They heat up the lac, and then they use a blower, a fukni, what is called funkni, to blow it into a ball. So once it is blown up into a ball, you can see here people are blowing this resin into a ball through a blower or a punkni, and then color is or gulal powder is filled into that ball and then sealed with lac. So this is how gulal gotas are made. It is unique to Jaipur. It is as old as 400 years, I believe. This particular tradition of making gulal gotas is as old as 400 years. So basically, lac is brought from Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, and gulal is, of course, locally purchased. Now, who are the people who make these gulal gotas? This is a Muslim community called the Manihars. So Manihars basically make lac bangles. They basically make lac bangles, but during the holy season, when the holy festival is approaching, they begin to also make gulal gotas out of lac. So they are made by the Muslim lac makers called Manihars, and these Manihars basically came from Afghanistan. They were shepherds and horse traders. They came and settled down near Jaipur in a small town, and they learned the technique of making gulal gotas and also processing lac from the Hindu lac makers called Lakhire. So I may not be spelling it properly, but then with whatever little bit of Hindi I know, I'm doing that. So they are supposed to have learned this tradition of making lac, gulal gotas out of lac through Lakhire, Hindu lac makers called Lakhire. And then the founder of the city of Jaipur, the pink city of Jaipur, Savai Jai Singh II, or Savai Jai Singh or Jai Singh II, he dedicated a particular lane to these Manihars. It's called Maniharon Ka Rasta. So even now called Maniharon Ka Rasta. That's where gulal gotas are sold, including other products made of lac. Right now, I believe one box of gulal gota contains six gulal gotas. So one box contains six gulal gotas. That means, and it is priced. One box is priced rupees 150. So that means one gulal gota is equal to rupees 25. So it is much more costlier than ordinary balloons into which colors are filled and thrown at people during holy times. And this is not a full-time profession of these manihars. It is only a part-time profession, because they begin to make gulal gotas only during the holy season. Otherwise, in the rest of the year, they make lac bangles made of lac, right? So what is the government doing to help these people? It has given them artisan cards so that they can avail of government schemes, both the lac bangle makers and gulal gota makers. And many of uh, the artisans are demanding GI tag, geographical indication tag, for this particular product, so that there is no duplication of this particular art. At the same time, it will become more popular and famous. So this is about gulal gota. It was in the news during the time of Holi, about 1.5 months back. Then we have Utkala Dibasa, the story of the formation of Orissa. So Orissa, Utkala Dibasa. Now, Orissa was a separate state of Odisha, as it is called now. Odisha. It was established on April the 1st, 1936. 1936, it was established on April the 1st. It is after bifurcating Bihar and Orissa provinces. So bifurcation of Orissa and Bihar province, and also the addition of two districts, that is Ganjam and Koraput districts of the Madras Presidency. So they were added to this, and you have the state of Odisha. Now, Odisha or Orissa is supposed to be having a history of 3,000 years. Many dynasties ruled this area. It is particularly highlighted during the Kalinga War of Ashoka. Ashoka conquered Kalinga or Orissa in 261 or 260 BC, in the beginning of the 9th year of his reign. So Orissa has had a long history, right? So no, along with Bihar. Orissa is one of the states to be established before India's independence. So before India's independence, two states were established. Only two states were established. One was, of course, Orissa, and the other was Bihar. And Orissa is supposed to be the first state to be established on linguistic grounds, on linguistic basis. First state to be established on linguistic basis is Orissa. And two states were established before India's independence, formal India's independence. One was Bihar and the other is Orissa. Now, many dynasties ruled Orissa. It had many names, but finally in 1568, Orissa was conquered by the Bengal Sultanate. Odisha was conquered by the Bengal Sultanate. Later, it came under the control of the Marathas, and finally under the British. So, and for another 109 years, so it was conquered by the Bengal Sultanate, in 1568, and the British, conquered it in 1803, until and for another 109 years, that is till about 1912, it was under the British. So it was under the British till 1912. Then we have a movement which was created to separate Bihar and Orissa from Bengal presidency. So Bihar province and Orissa province were part of the erstwhile Bengal presidency. So a movement was begun to separate Bihar initially from the erstwhile Bengal presidency. So the Hindi-speaking people of the Bengal presidency began this agitation for a separate state of Bihar. So what is the reason for that? Why did the Hindi-speaking people of the erstwhile Bengal presidency begin an agitation to have a separate state for themselves? One is, of course, the monopolization of white-collar jobs by the Bengali babus. So the people of Bengal had monopolized the Bengali-speaking people had monopolized the white-collar jobs. So that was one reason which was objectionable. And the second reason is, of course, cultural superiority claimed by the Bengalis. So for these two reasons, the Hindi-speaking people of the erstwhile Bengal presidency began an agitation to separate themselves from the Bengal presidency. As a result, we have Bengal and Orissa province, which were created out of the erstwhile Bengal presidency. This happened in March 1912. In March 1912, we have Bengal and Orissa province separating from the erstwhile Bengal presidency. But then, even after getting out of the Bengal presidency, the Oriya-speaking districts in the Bihar and Orissa provinces, their plight did not improve. The plight of the Oriya-speaking people in the Bihar and Orissa provinces did not improve. And therefore, I believe from the second half of the 19th century, middle of the second half of the 19th century, we have an agitation, a movement which began for a separate Odia state. And then in the year 1882, Utkala Sabha was established. Utkala Sabha was formed. I believe in the Mahabharata, the name for Orissa or Odisha is Utkal. So, for example, in our national anthem, we have Dravida Utkala Banga. Utkal is the old name for Odisha. In the Mahabharata, Odisha is called Utkal. So there was a Utkal Sabha which was established in 1882 that formally began the movement for a political movement for a separate Odisha state. Then in 1903, the Utkala Sammilani was established by a person called Madhusudan Das. Utkala Sammilani. And Madhusudan Das is supposed to be the single most person responsible for the establishment of a separate Odisha state. So though he was part of the government of Bihar and Orissa province, he continued the agitation for a separate Odisha state. And finally, in 1920, we have the Indian National Congress, which formally accepted the idea of linguistic provinces. So as part of its agenda, it recognized the demand for linguistic reorganization of states. And finally, 1936, on April the 1st, we have a Odisha province, which was finally created. 3 committees also went into studying the necessity of a separate Odisha state or Odisha province. And finally, it was established after it was carved out from the existing Bihar and Orissa province, then central provinces, and also Madras presidency. So Madras province. So Odisha was created out of the Bihar and Orissa province, then the central provinces and Madras province. But however, 26 princely states still remained part of Odisha till India became formally independent. So this is about the establishment of a separate Odisha state, April the 1st, 1936. Utkala Divasa, the establishment of a separate Odisha, the state of Odisha, okay, came into existence. So remember these things, this aspect. Bihar and Orissa are two states which were carved out even before India's independence, and the first linguistic state to be established even before India's independence was Odisha. So remember that from the exam point of view. Clear? Are you there with me? Incept concept of lack. See, Pari, insect is the one which that is the what is that called? Female scale insect. That is the one which gives out this resinous substance called lac. So those insects are killed to extract the lac. So lac resin, lac wax, and lacs dye. So lac resin, lac dye, and lac wax all are extracted from the female scale insect. Is it? So this is Gulal Gota. Gulal Gota, see, this is it is round in color. It's like a ball made of lac, and it is filled with Gulal. That is Gulal Gota. So it is done by the Manihars. Manihar community is the one which makes this. So it is blown. It is blown with a blower into a ball, and then color is filled, and then it is covered with lac. Right? And lac is obtained from these insects, and it is unique to Jaipur. And they're demanding what you call geographical indication tag. This tradition is as old as 400 years old. And of course, the ruler of Jaipur, the founder of the city of Jaipur, has dedicated a lane for these Manihars. Okay, that's what you need to remember. Then, of course, Odisha, I have just now discussed Utkala Dibasa. Then we come to another topic, Venice Biennial. Venice Biennial, that is, it is called the Olympics of the art world. So this was there in the news about 1.5 months back in the newspapers. April 20th, 2024 is the date, that is last month 20th, this Venice Biennial started. So first of all, this is an international art exhibition held at Venice, the city of Venice in Italy. So this is the 60th edition of the Venice Biennial. 60th edition of it. What's a biennial? First of all, biennial is something which is held once in 2 years. Basically, it is an international art exhibition, and various themes. It is held at across many venues, not just in one place. It is held across many venues, and artists from all over the world participate in this Venice Biennial. So it is unlike any ordinary exhibition because you have many other venues also where this exhibition takes place, and generally it is there's a common theme over which this exhibition is held, right? And this year's Venice Biennial, the chief curator, who is a curator? Curator is the person who organizes this exhibition. He's called a curator. So the person is from Brazil. His name is Adriano Pedrosa. And the theme is foreigners everywhere. That is people who are living on the fringes of society. What you call the nomads, foreigners, immigrants. So the theme is on them, the foreigners everywhere. That is where paintings are showcased depicting these things. That is the main thing. So here, what is a biennial? I already told you. It is held every once in 2 years. And what is the context in which this Venice Biennial was established or started? I believe there was this Venice, king, in 1893, the government of Venice decided to celebrate the 25th marriage anniversary of King Umberto of Italy and Margherita of Savoy. So they completed 25 years of their marriage, that is silver jubilee. Okay, and so they were celebrating the 20th anniversary of their wedding. So therefore, the government of Venice decided to have an art exhibition. It was supposed to be held in 1894, but for various reasons, it got delayed, and finally it was inaugurated on April the 30th, 1895. So this is how this Venice Biennial began, and it is a biennial, that is once in 2 years exhibition. Right. So basically, it is going to be held for 7 long months. This the Venice Biennial, and it is divided into 3 parts. We have a central exhibition. What is the central exhibition? That is the central pavilion where the main exhibition is held. Central pavilion, the main exhibition is held there. Then we have national pavilions. So every country have their own national pavilions. It is maintained by the respective ministries of culture of those countries. Till now, we have had 29 national pavilions. We have 29 national pavilions. The first country to have its own national pavilion was Belgium. So Belgium was the first country to have it in 1907. And other countries like Hungary, Germany, and Britain also had their own pavilions in the same decade. And also we have collateral events. Collateral events are also held across various venues in Italy during this particular Venice Biennial. India has participated officially 3 times till now. That is in 1954. It was India's first participation officially in the Venice Biennial. Then 2011 it participated, and 2019. And this year also she is participating officially. India is participating officially. Many of the works of Indian artists are going to be displayed in the Central Pavilion. That is the main exhibition where it's going to be held. So 1954, India first participated in the Venice Biennial officially. It was organized. The Indian art exhibition was organized by the Embassy of India in Rome, and the works of many famous artists of India like M.F. Hussain, then Amrita Shergill, Jaimini Roy were displayed, I believe. Right, and also Indian painters, Indian artists were invited to the Venice Biennial in 2007, 2013, 2022. Then, after many years, again India participated in the Venice Biennial in 2011. So after 1954, she officially participated again in 2011. We have the Lalit Kala Academy, which organized this exhibition, and many artists from India, the works of many artists from India were displayed, like Zarina Hashmi, Gigi Scaria, Praneet Soi, etc. The 2019 Venice Biennial, again, India officially participated. The Indian Pavilion was organized jointly by the Ministry of Culture, the Confederation of Indian Industry, National Gallery of Modern Art, and Kiran Nadar Museum of Art. So that is so here it celebrated 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi. The 2019 edition of the Venice Biennial, 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi's life was celebrated through works of art. Now, in the 2024 Venice Biennial, India will be many of the works of Indian artists will be displayed in the central pavilion. Works of artists like Ram Kumar, B. Prabha, F.N. Souza, etc., including contemporary works of art displayed by Aravani Art Project, including trans and cis women. That is, artists of transgender and cis women. So that is also will be displayed in the central pavilion. This is about Venice Biennial. So remember the 3 years in which India officially participated: 1954, 1911, and 1954, then 2011 and 2019. And now she's also participating in 2024, officially participating. So these are the 4 years in which she is participating. So remember that, right? Then remembering Vaikom Satyagraha 100 years later. So this is the first temple entry movement in the history of India. Vaikom, you need to understand who is Savarna and Avarna, first of all, before we continue. So caste Hindus. What is the meaning of caste Hindus? Anybody? What's the meaning of caste Hindus? Anybody? Caste Hindus means also Savarna. They are also called Savarna. So caste Hindus means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. That's the meaning of caste Hindus. Then what is Avarna? Avarna means who are not part of the four Varnas. That is Dalits and STs. that is Dalit is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. They are considered to be Avarnas. That is, they are not part of the caste system. Now, we have the Vaikom Satyagraha. Vaikom is a temple town in the erstwhile state of Travancore. So we have the princely state of Travancore. Travancore is now called Tiruvananthapuram. Tiruvananthapuram. So those days it was ruled by a prince, or it was a princely state ruled by a king, and and Vaikom is a temple town in that particular princely state. Now, what was the type of government like? So it was a feudalistic government. It was a feudalistic, militaristic, and caste-ridden government, custom-ridden government. So from thousands of years, caste is a scourge in India. So here it was a feudalistic government, a militaristic government, and also a caste-ridden government. And you have the Avarnas. Avarnas are people, that is Dalits and STs, scheduled tribes. They were not only physically kept away, but also it was considered to be polluting to even see them. Not only sight, no, not only you have also by touch and sight you have discrimination against these Avarnas. You are not also not supposed to touch them, but also not see them, and they were denied uh, public places like temples. They were not allowed to even walk on the roads around the temples. So a movement began in the city of Vaikom, in the town of Vaikom, in the erstwhile princely state of Travancore. But before I come there, in the 19th century, in the second half of the 19th century, that is 1850 onwards, what we notice is a number of Avarnas, that is Dalits and scheduled tribes, they began to convert themselves to Christianity to escape this caste oppression. So they began to convert themselves to Christianity. That's one thing. Secondly, we have a very progressive-minded kings of Travancore, like Maharaja Ailyam Tirunal Ramavarma. So he ruled in the later part of the 19th century for 20 years. Maharaja Ailyam Tirunal Ramavarma. So he opened up, universal free primary education for everybody, including the lower caste. So one of the positive developments of British rule is they opened Christian institutions, schools and colleges were open to everybody, irrespective of caste or sex, or religion for that matter. So here, as you can understand, in ancient India, we have the the Gurukul system of education. Only those who had the sacred thread, the Dvijas, we have discussed this as part of ancient India. Only the Dvijas were allowed to enjoy education. That is those who had undergone the Upanayana ceremony, the thread ceremony, Upanayana ceremony. And as a result of this, Shudras and women were also denied education. Okay, but now with progressive-minded kings like Maharaja Ailyam Tirunal Ramavarma, you have free universal education, free primary education thrown up to all sections. So many of the Avarnas, including the Eiravas. So in Kerala, we have the Eiravas, that is an untouchable community. Eiravas, they were one of the beneficiaries. So of this free education. And many of them, because of education, they held important positions in the government. Of course, 90% of the jobs in the government were reserved for the Savarnas, that is the people belonging to the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra Varnas. So 90% of them were held by them, but some of them, like the Iravas, also began to mobilize themselves. They got educated and they were also rich. But then these traditional restrictions were still applicable to the uh, Avarnas. That is, they could not visit the places like temples, or the roads around the temples were denied to them. Now, the first person to start this temple entry agitation for these Avarnas was T. Madhavan, T.K. Madhavan. So T.K. Madhavan was an Irava leader belonging to the untouchable community of Kerala. And he, in his editorial, in his newspaper called Desha Vimani, he expressed this idea of temple entry movement. So he wanted to start a temple entry movement so that even the Avarnas can enter the temples. And he was emboldened by Gandhiji's program of non-cooperation. So 1920, we have the non-cooperation movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi, and the success of the non-cooperation movement emboldened him. But then we also have counter, and what he did is he was the first person to break this barricade. So you have roads which were restricted for the Iravas to even walk on around the temple of Vaikom. So here he went beyond that board, thus breaking that law. And that resulted in a counter agitation launched by the Savarnas against this opinion given by T.K. Madhavan in his newspaper Desha Abhimani. So here ultimately we have T.K. Madhavan meeting Mahatma Gandhi, and he got the support of Mahatma Gandhi for this temple entry movement. Mahatma Gandhi encouraged him. And in 1923, we have the Kakinada session of the INC. Indian National Congress held its Kakinada session, and there the Kerala Provincial Congress Committee, KPCC, or Kerala Provincial Committee, decided to take up untouchability as a key issue. And pamphlets were distributed. Then mass campaigning was done. At the same time, it was decided to open Hindu temples for the Avarana caste. So this decision was taken in the 1923 Kakinada session of the Congress. Now, people like T.K. Madhavan and others first decided, let us first try to open up the roads, approach roads towards these temples. Instead of trying to open the temples for entry of the Avaranas, let us first open up the roads around these temples. So here, there's a story of a person called, I have given here, Alumuttil Channar. So he was one of the rich Iravas or untouchable community persons in that Vaikom area, and he had owned a car also. But then, if that car approached one of those roads where Iravas are not supposed to even walk, I believe he had to get down from his car, then take another road, and then ask the driver to bring the car there, and then get into the car and then move further. So these type of restrictions were imposed on the Iravas, though they were economically well off and also educated. So here it was decided to open up the roads first instead of the temple of Vaikom. And Vaikom had a Shiva temple. So it was decided to launch this agitation in the Vaikom Shiva temple. So that's why it's called Vaikom Satyagraha. Now, there were four approach roads. So if this is the temple, there were four approach roads to this temple. So I believe exactly on March the 30th, 1924, three people belong to three communities, a Nayar, a Irava, and a Pulayu. So you have three untouchable communities, a Nayar, backward communities, Nayar, an Irava, and a Pulayu. They dressed themselves in khadi, and they were garlanded and accompanied by thousands of people. They attempted to walk on this road. So what did the police do? They immediately arrested these leaders. These three leaders were arrested. These three men were arrested, belonging to three communities. Next day, another three people, one an Nayar, another an Irava, and another a Pulayu. They also began to walk towards that road. Again, they were arrested. And this happened till April the 10th. So this civil disobedience began on March the 30th, 1924, and it went on till April the 10th. So every day, three people were arrested by the police, and ultimately, from April the 10th, what the police did is they barricaded the entire area so that nobody is able to even walk on those roads, any of those approach roads. So once it was barricaded, the people began to congregate around the barricades. They began to oppose this particular practice of not even being allowed to walk on those roads, and they began to sing patriotic songs. And people like E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, you study this as part of social justice reform movements. He began the self-respect movement in Tamil Nadu. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, also called Periyar. So Periyar and also C. Rajagopalachari. These two leaders, Congress leaders, Periyar, of course, was a backward class leader. C. Rajagopalachari and Periyar visited Vaikom and to provide encouragement and also leadership to the agitators. So this continued. At the same time, we have caste Hindus. They started a counter agitation opposing this particular Vaikom Satyagraha, and many of the leaders of the Satyagraha were attacked and also pelted stones with. Now, ultimately, what happened is we have the Maharaja of Travancore. He died. So Travancore Maharaja died in 1924. The queen, who acted as a regent, young queen Setulakshmi Bai, she released all the prisoners who had been arrested by the police, and that resulted in thousands of backward classes walking towards the palace to put pressure on the queen to allow them to use those roads around the temple. But then the queen was afraid of upper caste backlash, so she did not allow access to any caste to any backward classes to use those temples. Then finally, in March 1925, Mahatma Gandhi was able to iron out bring about a compromise. Out of the four roads, three roads were opened up for the untouchable classes to use, and except the eastern road. Eastern road was reserved for the Brahmins to use. Periyar did not like it, and this resulted in differences between Periyar and Gandhi, because Periyar wanted all the roads to be opened, not just three roads out of the four approach roads. So finally, 1936, here 1936 we have the Maharaj of Travancore signing the temple entry proclamation. So wherein the Avarnas, that is the Dalits and the STs, were also allowed to enter temples. So why is the Vaikom Satyagraha important? Because it lasted for more than 600 days, and you have social pressure exerted on the lower caste by the upper caste, police canings, all those things happened, but still people held on, and they were able to see that ultimately the approach roads and also finally the temple was allowed to be entered by Dalits and Avarnas, the Dalits and STs. And also the non-corporate, the civil disobedience technique of Mahatma Gandhi was upheld. So this was a peaceful agitation, and there was also floods in the city of Vaikom. There were floods, but despite the floods, there were people continuing this agitation for their right to use the temple and also the approach roads. This is Vaikom Satyagraha. Am I clear? Clear. How are Shudras? Shudras are part of the four Varnas. Shudras, for example, when I did Vedic period also, I've told you, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Shudra was allowed to stay in the village, whereas Dalit is somebody who's below the Shudra. He's below the Shudras, and like Chandalas, they were to be stationed outside the premises of the village. So that is the difference. Okay, there's this a tag of untouchability on the Shudra. You are not supposed to even touch the on the Dalit. You have there's another word for Dalit actually. Uh, so st- uh, so they are not part of the caste system. Dalits are not part of the caste system. That's called Avarnas, SC/STs. Shudras were part of the four Varnas. Battle between Periyar and Gandhi is Periyar wanted, he did not like the way it ended. Periyar wanted all the four roads to be opened up, not just three roads out of the four. Yeah. Harijan is Asprush, not to be touched. Whereas Shudra could be touched. He could stay inside the village, I told you. Right. So this is about, the Vaikom Satyagraha, and also it resulted in unity amongst the various castes, which was hitherto not seen. The backward classes also supported the Avarnas in this agitation. Okay, this is about the Vaikom Satyagraha. It completed 100 years of 100 years was completed, in March. Then one of the places in the news is Chausat Khamba. Chausat Khamba was in the news. What is this Chausat? Chausat in Hindi is 64. Khamba is a pillar. Now, this was in the news. Why? What is this Chausat Khamba? So this Chausat Khamba is basically a tomb or a mausoleum. So this mausoleum or tomb is found in the Nizamuddin Auliya Dargah complex. So Nizamuddin Auliya was a great Sufi saint of the Chishti order. His tomb was built by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. You all know that. So in that complex, we have one more tomb of Mirza Aziz Koka. So he was the foster brother of Akbar, Emperor Akbar, foster brother. So Humayun had many wives. You see, Humayun had many wives, and from them many children. Um, so here you have Mirza Hakim. If you remember, Mughal history, Mirza Hakim, he became the king of Kabul, and he was one of the stepbrothers of Akbar. half brother of Akbar was Mirza Hakim. Another half brother was Mirza Aziz Koka. Mirza Aziz Koka. So he was a foster brother of Akbar, and his tomb is found in Delhi in the Nizamuddin Aulia complex. And who built the tomb of Mirza Aziz Koka? His son, Mirza Aziz Koka's son, Mirza Aziz Kolkatash. Mirza Aziz Kolkatash, who was serving as a governor of several provinces under Akbar. He was the one who built this tomb for his father. It has 64 monolithic marble pillars. So unique aspect is it has 64 monolithic marble pillars. So mausoleum is unique because it is built of entirely marble. And when was it built? It was built in 1623-24. You see, this particular tomb built of marble is very contemporaneous with the tomb built by Noor Jahan for her father. Noor Jahan. I'll use this page. Noor Jahan built a tomb for her father, isn't it? What was the father's name? Itimad Ud-Dawla. Itmad Ud-Dawla. So this is a tomb built at Agra, and this is the first tomb, Mughal tomb. This is the first Mughal tomb built entirely of marble. So it is built entirely of marble. First Mughal tomb to be built entirely of marble. Pitradura is used in this. Pitradura, that is, intricate, what you call precious stones are arranged in various designs inside the marble. That's called Pitradura. So this is the first Mughal tomb entirely built of marble by Noor Jahan for her father Itimad Ud-Dawla. This is at Agra. This tomb at Delhi, Chausat Khamba, is almost contemporaneous with the tomb of Itimad Ud-Dawla. So Noor Jahan built this tomb between 1622. It was built between 1622 and 28. And this tomb of Chausat Khamba is almost built around the same time, 1623 to 24. Right. So here I believe the inspiration for this marble tomb came from the wooden pavilion gardens found in Persia, Iran, wooden pavilion gardens. And in turn, the Chausat Khamba was the inspiration for Shah Jahan's Diwan-e-Aam. So you have in the Agra fort and also in the Red Fort built at Delhi by Shah Jahan, the Diwan-e-Aam and the Diwan-e-Khas. Diwan-e-Aam is hall of public audience. Diwan-e-Khas is hall of private audience. So the Diwan-e-Aam, hall of public audience, draws inspiration from the Chausat Khamba. So this was in the news recently, and I believe this is in the Gujarati style. The Chausat Khamba is in a unique Gujarati style. So we see Gujarati style spreading to Delhi. Okay, Gujarati style spreading to Delhi. This is a piece of Gujarat in Delhi, it is said. So this is how regional architecture was able to, travel across India. So it shows the regional architecture traveling across India. So the Chausat Khamba is in the Gujarati style. Clear? Are you there with me? So some years back, that is in 2011, 2014, the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, along with the Archaeological Survey of India, began restoration of this Chausat Khamba, and it began restoration of it, and then it was jointly funded by the government of Germany. The government of Germany also funded this. So this was in the news, in the newspapers. It was there, Chausat Khamba. Okay. $10. Chandrasekhar, 2014, it was last restored. It was in the news because it has been 10 years since its last restoration. 10 years since its repairs, since its last restoration. Yeah, got it, Chandrasekhar. So that's why it was in the news. You can see 2011 to 2014, it was restored or conserved. A lot of repairs took place. 10 years since it has been repaired. That's why it was in the news. Chausat Khamba. Then we come to another place, Pandavula Gutta. Pandavula Gutta. So this has been designated as an exclusive geo-heritage site in Telangana. Exclusive geo-heritage site in Telangana. And these are the Pandavala Gutta rock art paintings. Rock art paintings. So as you all know, you have rock paintings found in India from ancient times. That is prehistoric art. It's also called prehistoric art. So it belongs to the upper Paleolithic period. Most of the paintings belong to the upper, it starts from the upper Paleolithic period. Most of the prehistoric art is belonging to the Mesolithic period. Most of the prehistoric art belongs to the Mesolithic period, that is Middle Stone Age. And we have a number of places where we find such prehistoric art or paintings. Like, for example, Bhimbetka is one. Bhimbetka. Then Chitroha. Right? Then, of course, you have in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, we have a number of caves like Sita Bengra. Sita Bengra, Lakshman Bengra. Etc. It's also found in Ezutu Guha in Kerala, and also spread across various states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Also, we have many examples of prehistoric art. This particular prehistoric art has been found at Telangana at a place called Pandavala Gutta. So it's a geo-heritage site. This Pandavala Gutta, I believe, it's a geological marvel. Why is it a geological marvel? Because it is older than the Himalayas. It is older than the Himalayas, and officially it has been recognized as the sole geological heritage site of Telangana. So we have rock shelters found here. Rock shelters or rock cut caves have been found here from the Mesolithic period to the medieval times. So these are natural caves, mind you. Rock shelters, caves have been found here from the Mesolithic period, that is Middle Stone Age. From the Middle Stone Age till the medieval times, and we have various animals which are depicted in the paintings. Paintings depict wildlife, and also various shapes are there depicted. Shapes like shape of swastika, so wildlife like bison, antelope, tiger, leopard. Then shapes like swastik, circles, squares, weapons, and also paintings are there of geometrical designs and various colors like green, red, yellow, white pigment. So natural plant extracts, mineral extracts were used to derive these colors. And the Geological Survey of India organized one heritage walk. A geo-heritage walk was organized at Pandavala Gutta on March 12th, 2024. So this is the only geo-heritage site in Telangana, Pandavala Gutta. This is in the Regonda Mandal. So make a correction, please. Not Madal, it is Regonda Mandal in the Jayashankar Bhupalpalli district of Telangana. It is located in the Jayashankar Bhupalpalli district of Telangana. Okay, so Pandavala Gutta. Okay, Pandavala Gutta. Okay, so this is an example of prehistoric art. Then Hyderabad Liberation Day. So here, September 17th, 1948. September 17th, 1948. Hyderabad was integrated into the Indian Union through what is known as Operation Polo. Through Operation Polo, this was a military action taken by the government of India. The person responsible for this was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So here, as you all know, Hyderabad was under the Nizam. That was the title of the ruler of Hyderabad state, Nizam. And Hyderabad was the biggest state. Hyderabad. So Hyderabad. Hyderabad was the biggest Indian state during those days, biggest Indian state. And though we became independent on August the 15th, 1947, for 13 months, Hyderabad was not part of Indian Union. The government of India signed a standstill agreement in 1948, or either 1940, if I'm right, 1947. We signed a standstill agreement. A standstill agreement was signed with the Nizam. So he was trying to buy time. So standstill agreement signed by Nizam with the government of India in November 1948. So he was. So here we have Mir Usman Ali Khan. Mir Usman Ali Khan. He was the Nizam of Hyderabad at that point in time, and Hyderabad wanted to either join Pakistan or have a separate existence, be a separate dominion. She did not want to join the Indian Union. So she either wanted to join Pakistan or remain separate from India. And the Indian government obviously would not allow that to happen, because she had a large population and she was in the center of the country. So she did not have any contiguous border. What is contiguous border? She did not share any boundary with Pakistan. Hyderabad, for Hyderabad state to decide that she wants to be part of Pakistan. So the government of India allowed the Nizam to have his way initially. So a standstill agreement was signed with the Nizam, and Nizam had the backing of the Razakars. You have a paramilitary, a private militia. So this was a paramilitary organization of the Nizam called the Razakars. The head of the Razakars was a person called Qasim Rizvi. So Qasim Rizvi was the head of the Razakars. The Nizam also had the support of the a Muslim organization called MIM. That is Ittihadul Muslimin. So this Muslim organization, a union of Muslim organization called MIM in short, or Ittihadul Muslimin, was also backing the Nizam. So here you have the communists of Hyderabad state, supported by the Hyderabad Congress. They were demanding accession of Hyderabad into the Indian Union. And all sorts of atrocities were committed by the Razakars on the communists, the Hyderabad Congress, that is the Congress of Hyderabad state, and also on the women of Hyderabad by the Razakars. That resulted in Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He was the home minister, so he decided to use the military. So through Operation Polo, the military was deployed in September 1948. Operation Polo in September 1948, the Indian army entered Hyderabad, and the Razakars were shown their place by our army, and the Nizam surrendered. Razakars were also shown their place, and Qasim Rizvi was arrested. He was arrested, and of course the Razakars were banned. Qasim Rizvi was in jail from 1948 till, if I'm right, 1957. Ultimately, Qasim Rizvi was released he was released from prison, and on the condition that he go to Pakistan, and Pakistan gave him asylum. Pakistan gave him asylum, so he remained in Pakistan. And then, because of the Nizam acceding to the Indian Union, ultimately he was made Raj Pramukh. The Nizam was made Raj Pramukh, something like the governor of the state of Hyderabad. And this is how Hyderabad was, um, you know, incorporated into the Indian Union throughout its own as Operation Polo. This happened on September the 17th, 1948, and the government of India has decided to celebrate every year September 17th as Hyderabad Liberation Day. This is to highlight the sacrifices made by the people of Hyderabad state, and also to inspire the youth with patriotic feelings. So this is about Hyderabad Liberation. What do you call Hyderabad Liberation Day, September 17th. So this is the end of this particular webinar on art and culture. This is what I could gather in the last few weeks. Some of the topics. Okay, so we'll call it a good night now. Yeah, I will talk to the concerned people. So this is about the art and culture webinar. Please go through the PPTs, and of course, everything is not important. Just try to focus on the important things, whatever is important from the exam point of view. So thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.